Yo, what is good, everyone? Football season is finally back, and today I'm going to be taking a first look here at the Week 1 NFL DraftKings main slate. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with my first look videos of the past, basically here's a high-level overview of how that's going to work. What I like to do is go position by position, talking about the plays that are sticking out to me here early in the week, and then to wrap up the video, we'll put together a first look cash lineup and a first look GPP lineup. Let's get into the quarterbacks. Now, we have 13 games here on the main slate this week, which means we have 26 different quarterbacks to choose from. Now, initially, as I'm looking at this, the 5K range really isn't that pretty to me. Baker Mayfield does stick out in this matchup at home against Washington, but outside of that, we have some question marks here in the 5K range, guys who are unproven, guys playing with new teams, and I just don't have a lot of interest in that initially. So I'm looking at here at the top, first guy that does stick out to me is Josh Allen. Sitting at $8,000, we would need 24 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. You're going to hear me mention that in my cash videos all season long, and I love the matchup at home here to start off the season against the Arizona Cardinals. I think there's some high scoring potential in that game. Scrolling down, I don't mind CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, tough matchup there against Cleveland. I do, however, like Tua here at $7,000, purely a tournament play in my opinion, but we have some easy guys to stack them up with. Obviously, we can go the wide receiver route with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and you could even stack them up with the running back, Devon Achane. He's going to be someone that I highlight at the running back position. Now, scrolling down in the 6K range here, I got two quarterbacks that are sticking out to me initially. That is Kyler Murray and Anthony Richardson. I like Kyler in this game against Buffalo, which I mentioned earlier, has some high scoring potential. You can look at his game log here off to the right-hand side from last year. Being that he brings that rushing upside, I want that especially in my cash lineups, and at $6,400, we need, 19-ish DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. You can clearly see he's capable of that, even in a tougher matchup on the road against Buffalo. Same thing here with Anthony Richardson. Obviously, his season got cut short last year, but in the 3 full games that he played, you can see he's very capable of hitting 3x value at that price, and I don't mind the matchup against Houston because they're likely playing from behind in that game, and he should be able to rack up points, especially in garbage time. Outside of that, though, like I said, not in love with the 5K range. Do like Baker here a little bit. Probably be in my tournament pool when all is said and done, but overall, those are the quarterbacks that stuck out to me here initially in the week. Now, moving on to the running backs here, everyone. We do have Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, and Travis Etienne Jr. at the top. I don't mind those guys, but honestly, everyone, I am in love with the 6K range here at the running back position for week 1. The guys I want to highlight here are James Cook, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Rachaad White, and Kenneth Walker. Now, from a tournament perspective, I think every one of those guys are going to be in play. From a cash game perspective, I have a lot of focus here on Alvin Kamara. I love the matchup here at home against the Carolina Panthers. Should be one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. Could not stop the run at all of last season, and we know he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game as well. We love that on DraftKings with PPR. So Kamara, definitely a cash game and tournament consideration in week 1 for me, as well as Rachaad White. Not only do I love the matchup, but very similar here to Alvin Kamara. This is a guy who should see 15 plus rushing attempts in this game, as well as see 4 to 5 plus targets. Really like him at that price there of $6,300. We need 18.9 DraftKings points for him to meet 3x value. But again, everyone, this 6K range here for running backs really stuck out to me here for week 1. Outside of Kamara and White there, James Cook, Devon Achane, Joe Mixon, and Kenneth Walker are all sitting in some really good matchups. Now, folks, before we dive into the wide receiver plays here, 2 quick things that I want to mention. Number 1, I am a part of a YouTube golf channel as well with some of my buddies called Mulligan Masters. We've recently put out 2 really good videos, one with a football scoring format and another against 2 Division I golfers. Go watch those videos, like them if you can, and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. I'll link that in the comments below. And then number 2, if you haven't checked out my DFS to Discord video yet here on this channel, make make sure you go do that before the NFL season starts. Some really good tidbits in there for the upcoming season. All right, now diving into these wide receivers here, things are definitely a little more spread out than the running back position. Looking right away at the top, obviously we got some elite wide receivers. I don't even need to mention their names. We know who they are. But the guy that really sticks out to me is Tyreek Hill. I love that matchup against Jacksonville. Think there's a lot of high scoring potential in that game. Easy to stack him up with Tua or play him as a one-off in cash and tournaments. He's someone who could go for 30 plus points easily in this game. Scrolling down a little bit from that, I really like Mike Evans here as well. Love the matchup at home. We know he's the #1 target for Baker. We saw that all of last year. 14 touchdowns, almost 1,500 yards. This is a guy who should see about double-digit targets in that game. Really like him in tournaments. Now, scrolling down here to the 6K range, one of the guys that stuck out to me initially was Drake London. Think he's a great tournament play, but I like him in cash games as well at this price of $6,000. Need 18 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. Should be the clear #1 target in this offense with a new quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Now, if we're stacking up that game between them and the Steelers, I think there is some high scoring potential there as well. Obviously, the Steelers, there's a lot more question marks, especially at the quarterback position, but one guy that should be peppered with targets, especially if they're losing, is George Pickens. $5,700 here. He's another one of those guys who could go for 25 plus DraftKings points, hit 4-5x value at this price, and I'll actually build a tournament lineup later that plays both him and Drake London. And then scrolling down here into the 4K range, two guys stuck out to me, both from a tournament and cash game perspective. The Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver situation is probably something we're going to have to feel out a bit early on this year. I know that Christian Kirk is currently dealing with a calf injury. He's playing in the slot. Gabe Davis didn't look great in the preseason, but Brian Thomas Jr. did. Now, I know he's the rookie here, but I suspect that he's going to play 70% of the snaps in this game against Miami, again, especially if they are losing, playing from behind, and he looked good in preseason, so I do like him at that price there of $4,700. And then dipping down into the low 4K range here, Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, I know we've had some really lows with this guy since he's entered to the NFL, but we've seen some decent highs as well, especially towards the end of last year. You can see his fantasy points off to the right-hand side. Look, we need 12.3 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value in this matchup at home here against Minnesota. I definitely don't mind that. Now, when it comes to the tight ends here, we get it right, we keep it tight, we make it quick. I don't need to spend too much time at this position. I do like Trey McBride. I think Kincaid is fine, but if I'm looking to spend up here in week 1, Evan Ingram is the guy that sticks out to me. We could stack him up with Trevor Lawrence if we wanted to, and I do like that matchup against Miami. He's going to be a guy that should be solid in that Jags offense all year long. Now, a lot of question marks around this guy, right? Kyle Pitts really hasn't lived up to expectations in his first couple of seasons in the NFL, but a brand new offensive coordinator this year, brand new quarterback in Kirk Cousins. I kind of like him at that price in tournaments at $4,600. And then if we're really looking to save some money, especially in our cash lineups, I got two guys here at 3K and 2.9K. First is Mike Gesicki of the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, we really don't know what his role will be in this offense, playing with a brand new team, but I need 9 DraftKings points for him to meet 3x value, and if he doesn't get there, I'm essentially punting the position. And I think I like Johnny Munt even more for the Minnesota Vikings. You can see he had some decent games towards the end of last year. We got TJ Hawkinson on the pup list to start the season, $2,900. We need 8.7 DraftKings points. Probably someone I'll just staple in my cash lineup early in the week. And then the same goes for defense here. We're going to keep this very quick. If I'm looking to spend up in my tournament lineups, I probably want to target these defenses who are playing rookie quarterbacks. That's going to be the Buccaneers playing Jaden Daniels. We got the Seahawks playing Bo Nix. And then we got the Tennessee Titans here playing Caleb Williams. If I don't want to go with one of those 3 defenses, I'm looking to save some money here with the Houston Texans. This defense got better during the offseason. Anthony Richardson is coming back off of an injury, missed most of last year. He's bound to make some mistakes, and I do like that price at $2,700. Alright, now that we've gone position by position here, let's put together a first look cash lineup and a first look GPP lineup. And a reminder to you all, I will be posting my final cash game plays and final GPP plays all season long on YouTube and in my Discord channel on Fridays and Saturdays. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's put together this first look cash lineup here for starters. I mentioned earlier, I really like this 6K range when it comes to cash game quarterbacks. We could go with Kyler, we could go with Richardson. I'm going to kick things off here with Kyler Murray. Same thing here with the running backs. I like this 6K range quite a bit. Highlighted Kamara and White earlier from a cash game perspective. Now, I would love to pay up for Tyreek Hill in week 1 if at all possible. I love the pricing here for Drake London too. And let's look to save a little bit of money here with Wan'Dale Robinson to wrap up the wide receivers. And then I know I have some value here at the tight end position as well. Let's put in Johnny Munt there at $2,900. Give us a little more money back to wrap up the last two positions. And let's just put in the Texans as well. Like I said, they're probably going to be a staple defense in my cash lineup for week 1. That gives us $6,200 left over for the flex position. Handful of guys here with some nice names, some nice matchups. We do have James Conner there, but I already got Kyler, so I probably don't want to go that route. DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, T. Higgins. I'm going to go with Walker here to wrap up this first cash lineup look. Now, let's go ahead and put together a first look tournament or GPP lineup. I like this game between the Jags and Miami, so let's stack that one up. We'll go with T-Law here at the quarterback position, and let's save some money right off the bat here with Brian Thomas Jr. as well as Evan Ingram. So we got a double stack there with the Jags, basically saying, hey, they're likely playing from behind in this game, throwing the ball quite a bit, and then let's run it back here with Devon Achane, hoping he has 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Now, we'll stick with the running back position here. I really do like Kenneth Walker in this spot, and it's not every day I'm going to do this or every lineup I'm going to do this, but let's do a little running back and defense stack there with the Seahawks defense. All right, I mentioned earlier I also want to put in Drake London and George Pickens from that game between Atlanta and the Pittsburgh Steelers, so let's go ahead and do that right now. I believe Pickens $5,700. That gives us $5,600 left over in the flex spot, which I don't mind some of these guys here, but I'm not in love with them either. So what I'm going to do here right now is I'm actually going to pivot off of the Seahawks. I'm going to go to the Texans once again at $2,700. That gives me $6,300 left over, and I like these names a lot more. We could put in a Jalen Waddle, continue to stack up that game between Miami and Jacksonville, but I'm going to put in Rachaad White here to wrap things up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks, and in the meantime, I'm out of here.